All right, everybody, welcome to Studio B. I am your host, Pastor MDH. Thank you so very much for joining us here on the set today. Remember, wherever you are watching us from, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, wherever it may be, like, comment, follow, and subscribe so that you don't miss anything going on the set of Studio B. Studio B today. I want to talk about something that I started last week, but I want to finish this week, called the Black culture, or what is typically referred to as the Black experience. I have been an outspoken proponent of all things Black and Blackness. Sometimes I have a very different point of view than do some of my other contemporaries when it is touching on this particular issue, because I believe that everything that Black America needs to survive is in Black America, and it's already within arm's reach if we would just do as we have been destined to do. But I want to talk about this thing called the Black culture. And this kind of comes from the whole Ice Cube, Tucker Carlson interview, where people are now roasting Ice Cube again because he even dared sit down with Tucker Carlson. And you know, they did a 5-part series where Ice Cube took Tucker Carlson through the streets of Compton and showed him where he grew up and showed him where he met Dr. Dre and where NWA all came into being. And just like clockwork, Black people lost their everlasting minds and called O'Shea Jackson everything but a child of God. And I got to thinking, because stuff like that just really bothers me, is that why is it such a problem to allow somebody to think beyond the narrative? Why do we feel as though we need to box people in, and when they dare color outside the lines, we have an issue with them in terms of them being Black or them being dedicated to the cause of Blackness? Like, it's crazy to me. And I've often said, man, that I think at times the Black culture can be so toxic and divisive that it does not bring about unity. It does not bring about a positive affirmation of the African American or the Black man, Black woman in particular. It is something that we celebrate chaos and celebrate dysfunctionalism at a very, very high rate. And let me just say this. I'll be 50 years old next month, and I said this a few times before. I'll say it again. Some of the most devastating things that have ever happened in my life, some of the most heinous things that have ever been perpetrated against me, has not been by a white man or a white woman, hadn't been by a Karen or an Uncle Bob. Some of the worst things that have ever happened to me have been afflicted to me by people who share my same pigmentation, who look just like I do, who identify in the same community by which I identify. And this is the problem that we do not want to talk about. We give this thing the Heisman and shun it at all costs. But sometimes some of the greatest threats against Black America is Black America itself. And I want you to think about right now in 2023, when you think about the Black experience and what is seen in the Black experience or the Black culture, I want you to see the predominant message that is pushed across the airwaves on TV, in movie, in music. I want you to think about the dominant theme that is perpetrated against African Americans or the Black culture / Black experience. And I would dare argue that the predominant images that are portrayed against Black America or for Black America are not positive. They are not positive. I want you to go across the landscape of your Xfinity, your DirecTV, or whatever, cable provider that you ascribe to. I want you to scan those channels and find me positive, affirming images and or roles of Black people or the Black family or the Black unit or the Black culture. I want you to find me something within the musical realm that uplifts the Black experience. And I'm going to tell you that in 2023, you're going to be hard pressed to find something of value. And then the people that are portraying those roles about African Americans are African Americans themselves. So it's not like they got a white man in blackface that are portraying these roles about the dysfunctionalism within our communities. These are black people that are affirming the roles and the pictures that we think about Black America. I want you to kind of go back with me 25, 30 years ago. You know, when we had shows like Family Matters, we had shows like The Jeffersons, we had shows like A Different World, we had shows like Good Times, we had shows like The Cosby Show, we had shows like My Wife and Kids, like we had the shows like Everybody Hates Chris. Like you think about these particular shows that we had in the Black experience, and The Jeffersons, Family Matters, Good Times, My Wife and Kids, The Cosby Show, Everybody Hates Chris. Every last one of those shows portrayed a two-parent household. Husband, wife, children. Not girlfriend, baby daddy, baby mama. All of these shows, George and Wheezy, in a deluxe apartment in the sky with Lionel. Okay, you had George, who was a successful dry cleaning business. You had Wheezy. Watch this. The Jeffersons had so made it that not only were they living in a deluxe apartment in the sky, but they even had a maid. This was the image of Black America. You talk about Family Matters. You talk about Brother Carl Winslow, who was a policeman, and his wife. And you know, this is when the Urkel thing comes all in. You got Good Times. You got James in Florida. And this is way, 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 way back. But you got a two-parent household, raising their children under a man and a woman united in holy matrimony. You got My Wife and Kids. You got The Cosby Show. You got, even after The Cosby Show, the spinoff of The Cosby Show was A Different World. So now the kids in The Cosby Show have grown up, and now guess what? They're moving out and they're moving on to bigger and greater things. And guess what? College is in the windshield of their life, and now there's a whole show talking about the college experience of these African American kids who grew up in these two-parent households. But everything that you saw, with the exception of a few things here and there, but the overall experience of the Black existence, the Black culture, was something to be aspired to. I want you to think about it now. Have you watched EBT television, BET? For the life of me, I don't know why this station is still on the air. BET is everything dysfunctional. There is nothing good about BET except the reruns of Martin. And how in the world does anybody sit there and consume BET on a daily basis is beyond me. Because all BET does is highlight Black dysfunctionalism. Have you watched the BET Awards? Have you seen how dysfunctional, disgusting, and absolutely offensive the BET Awards are? And this is what we celebrate with the Black experience or the Black culture. This is what we're trying to get people to respect, because we're always out there with signs up and yelling at the top of our voices to respect us, to honor us. But yet we won't even honor ourselves. We won't even put ourselves in a positive light. And when anybody tries to break out of that culture and do something different than this toxic culture that we call Black culture today, they are labeled as coons and sellouts and not being down for the cause. I want you to scour your phone right now and give me one song that positively uplifts the Black experience. Every single song. Now, listen, back in my day, we had NWA, we had Ice Cube, we had that stuff. We had that stuff, but we also had Public Enemy, we had Common, we had people that were doing different things. Now, across the landscape of music is celebrated by dysfunctionalism. Our ladies who are demanding that the world respect them will get on TV scantily dressed, showing everything for the world to see, and then at the same time saying, respect me. Put themselves out there for everybody to see all that God has given them, and then want to say, respect me because I'm a woman. Cussing, fussing, fighting, and everything unladylike is now what is typical for the black culture. Love and hip hop. I want you to think about that reckless TV show called, now many are going to say, man, come on, man, that's just entertainment. It's entertainment. Does art imitate life or does life imitate art? It's a question that is always asked. I am saying that if it's just entertainment, if that's just what it is, then why not show a balance of what that is? Where are the positive, uplifting images of the African-American experience, the black experience? Where is it at? Scour YouTube, scour Facebook, Instagram, and if you want to see the videos that's got the most views, guarantee you at the bottom of that video, there is dysfunctionalism all throughout. You'll see them fighting, you'll see them fussing, you'll see them cussing, but they got millions upon millions upon millions of views. Why? Because that's the narrative that is being pushed. And if you look right now, you'd be hard pressed to find positive images of the African American experience, the black experience, the black family. I am amazed at how black people have become so liberal. Like everything is loosey-goosey to the black experience now. I want you to think about even at the height of the civil rights movement, even at the right when black people were fighting for the right to exist and the right to operate within a society that oftentimes they had helped to build. And I want you to look at those pioneers that were used during the civil rights movement, and all of them were culturally conservative. Malcolm X, the brother preached and advocated for the family unit. The black family unit, the black husband, the black wife, and the kids being raised within the confines of a household. Martin Luther King, Medgar Evers, you're talking about people that were on the front lines of civil rights activism, but yet they held a very conservative viewpoint about how we build up the black experience. I'm not going to bore you with all of the numbers, but I've said it many times before. Before the Civil Rights Movement, before the Voting Rights Act, 1961, that 21% of all new births in the African-American community were to out-of-wedlock homes. 21%. But now here we are in 2023, and that number has ballooned to 74%. Think about that. 3 out of 4 children born in the African-American community are born to single mothers or out-of-wedlock parents. Post-civil rights, post-voting laws, post-Barack Obama, post all of these black people that have done, post all of these black millionaires and even billionaires, look at the rate that has absolutely tripled. So when you're talking about the black experience, what does that mean? How did we get to a point to where we have become so liberal? How? My grandmother came from a family, she was one of 11 children. My grandmother had 13 kids. 13, like many of us, when we look at our grandmothers and our grandfathers and our great-grandmothers and great-grandfathers, these people come from large families. You're now at a place now to where the African-American family got one child. And you'll hear people saying, I don't want more than one child. One child, 2 children, whatever the case may be. We're not having large families like we once did. Here's something that's going to turn many of you off, and you're going to switch after, you're going to turn off this podcast when I say this. But the abortion rate in African-American communities is absolutely astounding. When did black people be okay with killing babies? When did black people become okay with killing babies? When we know where abortion came in, when we know what was the original intent of abortion, when we know that, when we know that Margaret Sanger pushed the abortion agenda, eugenics, to weed out a certain group of people, black people. But now you got crazy black people that are sitting there talking about pro-choice, 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 my body, my choice. When did we start to be okay with killing babies? You're going to get mad at me again. Homosexuality is a European thing. It is not an African. I know James Baldwin. I know that. I know that. But the LGBTQ plus and all of that stuff that is now celebrated so worldwide, that was not a part of the black experience. That was not a part of the black culture. You had outliers in the culture, but that was never embraced by the culture. It is embraced at an alarming rate now. When did we become so loose in our living? Does that mean that we got to be ultra tight and can't do nothing? No, it doesn't mean that. But as you sit there and think about Ice Cube and how this brother is now receiving, Oprah done canceled him, The View done canceled him. I'm talking about Ice Cube. I'm talking about No Vaseline. I'm talking about that Ice Cube. I'm talking about It Was a Good Day, that Ice Cube. O'Shea Jackson. Talking about Doughboy, that Ice Cube, that Ice Cube, that Ice Cube. Because he exercised free will and did an interview with Tucker Carlson. Black Twitter and the black culture has gone absolutely insane. And it's called Ice Cube, of all people. An Uncle Tom, which is a horrible thing to say because it's absolutely historically incorrect. But they've called him everything but a child of God because this man dared think outside of the box. And let me just tell you something. I support Brother Ice Cube. So Ice Cube, if you're listening, man, you got a proponent right here. Man, I am for the expression of free thought. I am for coloring outside of the lines. I am for not people trying to keep me in the box because it makes them comfortable. I am for all of that. I'm for having conversations with people that they say I shouldn't have conversations with. I am for all of that. I want it all. So Brother Cube, listen, you got one on Studio B. We support you. And here it is. This man is exercising free thought by coming to the table with somebody that may have a difference of opinion and talking through issues to come to a resolution. But I'm telling you something. I am telling you something. That is not what they want. That is not what this ruling social class wants. They do not want that. Listen, divisive behavior is very profitable for the people on top. The socially elite, the ones that are running the things, the ones that are the puppet masters, they are making money because the world is divided. Division brings about money. So even though we talk about unity and kumbaya and walking down the yellow brick road and screaming, we shall all overcome, that stuff is wonderful to have, but it's sometimes a very difficult reality. This black culture, this black experience is very toxic, and I don't see anything very unifying about it. When I talk about this, I am talking to, and I shared with you. Podcast didn't get posted, but let me give you a recap. So about a week and a half ago now, I was outside just kind of admiring my lawn. I'm a lawn guy. I love a freshly manicured lawn. If you know me right now, it doesn't look so manicured because I had to put some grass on the side of my garden to the right. So I'm letting the grass grow because it's new grass. So before I cut it, now y'all didn't need to know all that. But anyway, I love a manicured lawn, garden, mulch, flowers, all that other good stuff. So about a couple of weeks ago, I'm just sitting outside and I'm admiring my lawn. And my neighbor comes across Mr. George. And Mr. George has got to be 80-ish. And Mr. George is, of course, he's a liberal guy. I've talked to him many times before. He knows that I'm a pastor. We've had some very spirited and enlightening conversations where I've had to educate Mr. George on some of the things that he was just absolutely wrong about. But for whatever day, he comes across the street and begins to start talking to me about issues that really have nothing to do with me. And he started saying how America needs to treat black people better. Now, Mr. George is a liberal, and he is a liberal through and through. And his liberalism, he confuses to be social activism. His liberal approach to life doesn't lend well to the success of my community. And so we began to start talking about this. And I told Mr. George, I say, as he's talking about America needs to do better with black people, I had to remind Mr. George, if you're watching, Mr. George, I literally stay right across the street from you. You are 80, I am 50. And I literally stay across the street from you in the same neighborhood that I stayed in for quite some time. Mr. George, please, before you start trying to give black folks handouts and before you start to try to feel sorry for the black man, please understand the dynamic by which you speak. Mr. George, there are several of us on this block in this well-to-do community. So, Mr. George, listen, your heart may be in the right place, but you are terribly misinformed. The help that you are always trying to give to the underserved and underprivileged community oftentimes works to their detriment. If you would leave the people group alone and allow the talents, the skill sets, and the abilities that are within those communities to operate without interfering, you will see that those communities will begin to rise. You will see that. If you just leave me alone, if you stop thinking that every single black person on the planet is walking around with their hand out, if you just leave us alone and allow us to do our God-given ability and to stretch ourselves in ways that will be beneficial for our families and generations to come, we will rise to the occasion each and every time, as we have done throughout the channels of history. Y'all need to stop with all of this foolishness. Are there some racist people in the world? Yes. Are there some prejudiced people in the world? Yes. Are there injustices in the world? Yes. Are there people that don't do right by other people? Yes, they are. All of those things are true. All of those things are true. But I want you to hear something. If you are allowing another person to dictate your life, if you are allowing another person to regulate the joy that you have, if you are allowing that, it's not a victim of your circumstance, of your color or your creed or where you stay or where you don't. That is an issue of your choice. See, I come from a long lineage of people that bust through walls. When the door wasn't open, they kicked it down. See, when they said that they couldn't come in, they came in anyway. And watch this, when they got in the room, they belonged in the room. And this thing now, where we're talking about the black experience, look at our experience, y'all. Look at our experience. Look at what we celebrate on a daily basis. We celebrate foolishness on a daily basis. And it's normal. We don't celebrate the smart guys. We lift up the hood dudes. We don't celebrate the guy that goes to work, comes home, takes care of his family. We celebrate the dude that's out there slanging it on the block and in every other girl's house. Those are the people that we celebrate. So now it just becomes norm. So those people who are dressing in suits and those people that are going to work and those people that are handling their business, those are the outliers of our community now, when in fact they are not. There's a ton of successful black people out there that don't match the narrative of a BET, that don't match the narrative of an MTV, that don't match the narrative of most of these movies and TV shows and music songs that y'all are listening to. They don't match that narrative. A lot of our daughters are not out there shaking it and dropping it on the pole. But the black experience wants to, and the black culture wants to celebrate everything that is dysfunctional. It's time out for all that. It is really, really time out for all of this foolishness. Let me just say this and close it. The Bible says that as a man thinks in his mind, so is he. And what that simply means is, as a man continually thinks, so he becomes. As a man continually thinks, so he becomes. The person that you are right now is a sum total of the thoughts that you think about yourself. So wherever you are in life, the end result of that is how you think about yourself in life that has got you to that place that you are currently now living. As a man continually thinks about himself, so he becomes. He becomes what he thinks. He becomes what he thinks. So ultimately, the gauge, the key, the one who should hold the one most accountable is the person looking back at you in the mirror. Because the life that you are living is the result of the choices that you've made to live that life because of how you think. And so if you want to change the way that you think, you got to change your environment. There's so many things that's got to be changed. If you want to elevate your thinking and go up a level and really take it to new heights, you got to do a whole lot of stuff. But the first thing that you got to do is you got to get rid of this thinking. And black folks, let me tell you something. If I'm going to sit on a soapbox and proclaim anything, I'm going to tell you that there is an enemy out here that wants you to believe other than the reality of who you really are. Because if I can get you to believe that you are a hoe, if I can get you to believe that you are a thug, if I can get you to believe that you ain't nothing, if I can get you to believe that you ain't going nowhere, if I can get you to believe that you are a mistake, if I can get you to believe that and constantly start thinking that stuff in your head, you will become such a thing. You will become what you think. And if you don't change your thinking, you'll never change your life. If you don't change your thinking, you will never change your life. If you don't change your thinking, you will never change your life. Stop blaming everybody and start holding that person looking back at you in the mirror accountable. And don't give that brother no space to tap out. Can we do better? I think we can. Can we celebrate black excellence? I think that we can. Matter of fact, I know that we can. Because the phrase black is beautiful refers to a broad embrace of black culture and identity. It's called for an appreciation of the black past and as a worthy legacy. And it has inspired cultural pride in the contemporary black, watch this, achievements. In his philosophy, Black is Beautiful focused on an emotional and psychological well-being. The movement affirmed natural hairstyles like afros and a variation of skin colors, hair textures, and physical characteristics found in the African-American community. You know that ain't the case now. You know, they getting BBLs and throwing horsehair all on them and trying to be somebody that they not and trying to compete with the next girl on Instagram and he trying to get another car because he seen this guy driving it. We're competing against ourselves, and the person that you're competing with, you'll never do because you're not him. You're not her. The black experience and the black culture has become a toxic thing that is detrimentally hurting the black community. And I think it's time that we do better. So everybody, we got a lot more to talk about this. We're going to have some very, very wide discussions. But listen, I'm going to look you right in the eye, wherever you may be watching me from. And I'm going to tell you something that you need to hear. Who's responsible for your life? You are. Who's to blame for where you are? You are. As parents, we always want our children to do better than we are, than what we have done. If you are a parent and you don't want that for your child, then I don't think you're much of a parent. I think every parent wants to do better for their child. The saints of God, the pictures and the images and the lifestyle that we are portraying is killing our community. And all the respect that we keep talking about we want from everybody else, we don't even have that within ourselves. My wife is not going outside with her breast exposed. She's not going outside in some form-fitting clothes showing everybody the shapes that God has given us. She's just not going to do that. She's going to do that, one, because she's not going to do that, one, because she is a child of God, and two, is because she honors and respects her husband and knows that that body is for her husband. But look at what we celebrate now. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been living long enough, you have lived long enough to regret some things that you have done. If you got some years on you, you can look back at a certain time and point in your life and say, man, I wish I'd have never done that, because that choice caused me a whole lot of pain. The unfortunate thing about where we are right now is that we're living in this social media, this internet experience. And as I often share with young people, the internet never forgets. You're going to make choices out there that's going to be put out there publicly for the world to see, and the world will never forget. So I want you to think about young ladies as you are showing off everything that God has given you. 25, 30 years from now that you're kids, Google your name and these images and videos of you come up. And you'll have to look at your children and try to explain why you've done such things. I don't think the reward is worth the risk. Black culture, we can do better. I know we can do better. It's time to do better. Let's start holding each other accountable. Let's have some conversations. Let's start bringing the hammer down on those who do not represent us well. So everybody, I want to thank you for joining us here on the set of Studio B. Remember, YouTube subscribers, thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for commenting. Man, get all in the comment box. I do need you to hit that subscribe button, hit that bell to the left so that you don't miss anything going on the set of Studio B. And remember, be informed, be empowered, Studio B.